Traveling to Vietnam. Okay, I already done a video on visa, but let's start with that because you're gonna go to Vietnam, you need to have a visa, that's it. Okay, most communist countries, well, there's not that many, but China and Vietnam for, well, first of all, to make cash, okay, and the second part, to limit who gets in the country, they really have visas, okay? Now try to get yourself a multi-entry tourist visa for 1 year. They're relatively easy to get. They're about $100. When you're gonna get them, you're gonna have to be careful because unfortunately, I was talking about systemic corruption. Vietnam has a bit of that. So the price is really different from different countries. China somehow is the same. The price of visa was more expensive in Switzerland than it is in Canada. They award you multi-entry in Canada, no issues, and they only give you dual entry in China. In Switzerland for China. So Vietnam is the exact same way. Depends where you are, depends who the guy is, the clerk is, which country you're from, and which country you actually apply for your visa from, will have some kind of issues like that. So you do have to be careful with that. That's the first thing. The second thing is when you're going to land into Vietnam at customs, you have to also be careful with a few things. Books. It sounds ridiculous, but if you were to move to Vietnam, and I have a video on that, you would have to have your book read and checked by the government, and you have to pay for that because they're afraid of potential subversives. They're not as bad as North Korea, I agree, but they would have to, to be careful on what you bring into the country to make sure that it's not speaking against the government and so on and so forth. Also, sometimes religious books, they're not allowed to. I wouldn't know much about that, but that's something that I've heard as well. So you have to be careful of that. If you have more than one cell phone, if you have more than one PC, like laptops, iPad, whatever, something that sounds a bit like more than likely you'll leave a few in the country or you're bringing them to sell them in the country, they could be seized. Okay, so if you have a friend of yours that's Vietnamese and say, please bring me, hey, look, this is 2 new cell phone, iPhone 6s, whatever, can you bring them in the country for me? Be careful because they could be seized at the border. And if they are, well, then you're going to be in trouble with your friend. Try to explain what happened over there and how come you lose this phone. Okay? If not, there's a penalty to pay, which is the price of the phone. So on top of that, you lose the phone and you have to pay for the price of the phone. That could be very tricky and expensive. So be careful with that kind of thing when you get in the country. After that, inside the country, that's great. It's not that difficult. If you take buses, I would say take official bus from official companies that are recommended by the tourist industry or that, if you check on TripAdvisor, are well noted for. Because there's a thing in Vietnam, let's say you could travel from Hanoi to Halong Bay, for example, in the north, or Sapa. The buses, what they will do, they will stop very often to pick up people at the bottom of the road. Okay, on the side of the road. It's common, and if it's a reputable company, they're gonna do the trip in 2-3 hours straight up. If they're not, they'll stop very often, and it could take you 5-6 hours to get there, and the bus could be very crowded, and that's a bit, like of an issue. So be careful with that. That's the thing that you have to be a little bit careful, mindful in Vietnam. Tremendous amount of motorbike. When you cross the street in Vietnam, okay, just rely on the people knowing that they'll go around you. Don't bother. When I cross the street, I go often to Vietnam. My wife Vietnamese. I just cross the street. That's it. People go around me, they zoom around me, and that's it. I'm assuming they know how to drive. There's nothing you can do because if you try to look for when there's no vehicle to cross the street, you'll never cross because there's tremendous amount of traffic. There are 5 million motorbikes and they're going all over the place. Okay, scooters, motorcycle, whatever. It's absolutely crazy. The food in Vietnam is absolutely awesome, okay? Bar none, it's one of my favorite Asian food. I love China, don't get me wrong, I love Japanese food, but Vietnamese food is amazing, okay? It's not expensive, but you do have to be careful. Some restaurants are tremendously expensive, $500-$600 for inviting a few people, 5-6 people. Trust me, this is the kind of thing you could see, so really be careful when you're in Vietnam and you look at that. That's a possibility. Then I would say go visit by plane as much as you can. So if you're in Hanoi and you want to go to Da Nang and then you want to go to Ho Chi Minh City, or Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City today, I would say take the plane, okay? Vietnamese airline is a decently good airline. I had one issue once, but like minor. So don't bother, just go by plane. It's fast, it's cheap. You can get the ticket for about $100. So one way, very, very fast. You want to visit Alombe, that's for sure. It's beautiful. Then you want to visit for sure, Hua Yan, next to Da Nang. This like 900-year-old ruins. It's absolutely amazing, and the city itself. The taxi have meters. There are two different kinds of taxi in Hanoi. There are some that are very expensive and some not so much. If you see the taxi looks luxurious a bit, trust me, they're a bit more expensive. But still, for us, not so much. Okay, $10, you're gonna go anywhere in the city. That's not a problem. So the language is also an issue. Most taxi drivers will not speak English at all or French, and that's a problem. Hiring a translator, it's not expensive. If you stay there for a week, you can have one for $100, okay? Pay her meals or his meal, whatever, and you can have one. If you're an organized group, you'll be fine as well. Most hotel will offer, like guide and stuff like that. I don't really recommend you do it. I'm gonna give you an example. If you're at the Hilton, if you take the car from the Hilton, they have BMWs that they drive you around. They're very expensive. Just go outside on the other side of the street, grab a cab. Cheap as hell. Massage, sauna, jacuzzi, stuff like that. $10, including meals, 1 hour massage, or the bath and everything. Absolutely worth doing in Hanoi. Again, like in most developing nations, you will have to be very careful with one point. Especially in my case, because I have displaced vertebrae because in my neck because of a parachuting accident. They do have the tendency to crack the neck sometimes. Or to do movement that normally massage therapists in North America or Europe wouldn't do, okay? Because they don't have formal training. Not all, some do, but if I'm talking about like 500 hours of formal training to become a massage therapist, say in Canada, these people probably have an afternoon or like at best a week if you're really lucky. So the massage is going to be great. It's going to feel great. It's amazing. The places are nice. But as far as making sure you don't get more injuries, you have to be careful a little bit on that one. For the rest, it's a great country to visit, and beside the language issue a little bit, I think you're gonna find that amazing. Cell phone fees, calling home and stuff like that, tremendously expensive. Be aware of that one. And also internet access is expensive in Hanoi, so you want to be careful of that. It's still a communist government. I doubt that anybody would denounce you if you bitch about the government, but don't do that too much openly because, there's still a bit of risk and you don't want to go and end up in a police station or be kicked out of the country because you did something or you said something that's a bit stupid. Okay, so just go there, respect their country, visit and leave, and you're going to have no issues. If you enjoyed that video, give it a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to our channel and visit our website, mariostanger.com, where we have tons of videos on how to travel all over the world. I'm pouring all the knowledge and experience I've acquired over the past 15 years traveling and living everywhere on Earth. Pursue the dream. There's nothing better than just exploring our world. There's so much to see, and doing it as a perpetual traveler is an amazing thing, and you can do it too.